Hi there, this is Dr. Eve Ruiz, owner of SpiritSpeaks MD YouTube channel. You can also find me on Facebook by the moniker Eve Spirit Speaks. I am here to share with you the next part of the third episode of my Energetically Engaging with Narcissism series. This sub-series or mini-series within a series is titled Dating a Narcissist. We are going to talk this week about gaslighting. What is gaslighting, you may ask? The example that I was going through in the prior episode was where a woman is clearly dressed in her lingerie, missing her underwear, and a wife is home to see this with her husband present. The husband is saying, "What is it you're asking? She's only a friend. I've told you, she's only a friend." Well, let's just say if it's a friend, it would be really more of an buddy friend. When a person plays with your mind, when you see evidence that something is going on, and yet find someone else saying, "Oh no, you're seeing things, you're crazy, or you're listening to the wrong people, or you've got the wrong advice. This is not what's going on." This is called gaslighting. The name gaslighting came from a movie in 1944 that was based on a play in 1938. Ingrid Bergman played the role of a wife whose husband was manipulating her into thinking that she had a mental illness by dimming their gas-fueled lights and telling her she was hallucinating. In our narrating what traits a narcissistic person may choose to use when they are dating someone, gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse where a person or a group of people makes someone question their sanity. People experiencing gaslighting often feel confused, anxious, and unable to trust themselves. Have you ever found yourself in that kind of a situation where you felt in your gut and you saw evidence that something was going on, but when you confronted a person you believed to be involved, they kept denying, turning things around, attempting to get you to forget or to not believe what was actually happening? I'm going to give you some actual examples of gaslighting so that when you go out on your next date or even have a conversation with anyone just for fun, you can have these in the back of your mind and see if any of these are happening. I'm going to take this opportunity to remind everyone, just a gentle reminder, that all of us use different kinds of traits to deal with different kinds of situations. We are concerned here about people who take the narcissistic traits to a harmful degree, the point where it is not healthy to stay in a relationship with that person. The first way that gaslighting may be expressed is with something called countering. This describes a person who is questioning someone else's memories. They may say, "You have a bad memory," or "You never remember things accurately." Another way a gaslighter might work is by being withholding. So when someone withholds, they are refusing to engage in a conversation. So if you've noticed something and it seems kind of off and it seems kind of odd and you want to talk to someone about it, when you ask them about it, that person may pretend not to understand you. That way, they don't have to respond to you. A classic way of doing this is to say, "I don't know what you're talking about," or "You are just trying to confuse me." The third one is trivializing. This occurs when a person belittles or disregards the other person's feelings. So in this case, if you're the one asking the questions, they may accuse you of being too sensitive or overreactive when you are expressing valid feelings and concerns. A fourth, denial. Denial involves a person pretending to forget events or how they occurred. Conveniently, when you are bringing something up to a narcissist that might make a narcissist look bad, they may selectively forget or even go as far as to accuse you of making it up. Fifth, diverting. With this technique, the narcissistic person is changing the focus of a discussion and questions your credibility instead. They might say, this is just another crazy idea that you got from your friends. Next, stereotyping. A person who uses gaslighting techniques may intentionally lean into the negative stereotypes of a race, of an ethnicity, of sexuality, nationality, age. Think of all those isms and insert right here. For example, they may tell a female that people will think that she is irrational or crazy as she seeks help for abuse. While anyone can experience gaslighting, it is especially common in intimate relationships and in social interactions where there is an imbalance of power. So remember this. A person who is on the receiving end of this, as I've mentioned before, I'm just stating it more directly now, is experiencing abuse. We had started out in this series describing someone who love bombs, and that can feel harmless enough. There are traits which in themselves are simply, perhaps while in service of the person employing them, they're not harmful in and of themselves. It's when someone decides to use these traits in combination with others so that either there is an additive effect because the person has an underlying motive and they're simply threading the other person, the victim of these attentions, through all of these manipulations to inflict something which may be harmful to the other person later on. But because the narcissistic person is often lacking empathy, they will have disregard for that part. An abusive partner may accuse someone of being irrational or crazy in order to isolate them, to undermine their confidence, or to make them easier to control. For example, they might continuously tell someone that they are forgetful until that person starts to believe it's true. There are different kinds of gaslighting situations. While I have entitled this Dating a Narcissist, I've also said that this whole series is about your taking the teachings and applying them to whatever situation is relevant in your life. There is child-parent gaslighting, where abusive caregivers may use the gaslighting to shame or to control children. They may accuse the children of being overly sensitive or belittle the children's feelings. They may say that the children are misremembering events. There is medical gaslighting. Here I am, a physician, and I learned later in my life about this. So, when a doctor or other medical professional is dismissive of or trivializes a person's expressed or the patient's expressed health concerns, based on the assumption that they must be off somehow, they may tell the person that the symptoms are simply in their head. I want to give an example of this. This is as recently as 2009. So this was well after the years that I went through residency training, and I thought back then that I was living in good times, or at least more modern times, especially when it came to women and people's concept of them. A 2009 study found that doctors were twice as likely to attribute coronary heart disease symptoms in middle-aged women to mental health conditions than middle-aged men. There's also racial gaslighting, political gaslighting. Examples of political gaslighting include downplaying or hiding things their administration has done wrong, discrediting political opponents based on mental instability, or using controversy to divert attention from important events are all forms of political gaslighting. There's institutional gaslighting, where a company may portray a whistleblower who's uncovered problems in an organization as incompetent or mentally ill. This is how you can tell if you have been gaslit, according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline resource. A person experiencing gaslighting may feel confused and constantly second-guess themselves. Second, they may find it difficult to make simple decisions. Third, they may frequently question if they are too sensitive. Fourth, they may become socially withdrawn or unsociable. Fifth, they constantly apologize to the abusive person. Sixth, they defend the abusive person's behavior. Seventh, they may even lie to family and friends to avoid having to make excuses for the abusive person. They may feel hopeless, joyless, worthless, or incompetent. Gaslighting can also cause anxiety and depression. In severe enough situations or long-term enough insidious situations, it can cause psychological trauma, especially if it is part of a wider abuse pattern. This encompasses what I wish to share with you about gaslighting. Take a look around you for people doing these things. This is excellent exercise for you to more quickly, when you're not thinking about it, be able to recognize when this is happening to you. I am going to sign off now. I am wishing for you to stay well during these times, to be blessed, and most of all, to be the most authentic, high energy you possible. Stay tuned for our next episode of Signs of Dating a Narcissist. Meanwhile, namaste.